the cargo ships to go through, there's really only 2 lanes, and each lane is only 2 miles wide. So really, all you have to do is monitor a 4-mile area, a stretch, to really be able to control the strait. So the latest is Iran is claiming that, hey, we dropped mines and we kind of forgot where we put them. So U.S. has taken out all of their mine layers and is supposedly going through and doing a cleaning of their own. Iran is, again, claiming that we can't clean it because we don't know where they're at. Sorry. Oh, and by the way, because Lebanon's getting hit, we're also not really interested in opening it. So what does the U.S. decide to do? They're going to come up with a blockade. And let's talk about what that blockade entails. So basically, the U.S. is like, we're going to block your blocking, right? And so there's going to be a lot of economic impacts that happen from it. For the first thing, from Iran's perspective, there's going to be more pressure put on them, right? Because before some ships got to go through, a lot of those ships were actually of value to Iran, bringing in medical supplies and essential needs. Those are now gone. So the pressure is going to be significantly harder. We already talked about how food is higher since February 28th in Iran. Medicine, such as insulin, was also 10 times higher. Imagine how high it's going to be when quite literally there's nothing coming in from the strait. Additionally, getting stuff into Iran is dangerous. So if you're not going through the strait through a cargo ship, that means you're getting in smaller deliveries by truck and whatnot. And with bridges potentially being hit again, it makes things very difficult. What driver is going to want to go do that? It makes it tough. So what do I expect to see? I think gas prices are going to go even higher, significantly higher, 20, 30, 40, 50%. Think about this. All of the world is going to continue to need energy, and they're going to continue to need gas. And so if you take away that oil, it's not like China's going to be like, hey, guys, sorry, there's no oil. They're going to start buying it. In just pure economics, when the supply gets cut, i.e. when the strait is just straight up closed indefinitely, when there's a supply cut and the demand remains the same, prices increase. So it's very clear to me that the prices are without question going to increase. How long is this going to last? Well, Trump said not long. Why does Trump say not long? Well, because he doesn't want the futures to go skyrocketing, right? On top of that, what do I think we have to really focus on is the insurance is the big reason why ships aren't going through. Because the insurance, there's a wartime insurance, that they basically take a percentage of what the cargo value is. To go through the strait, they take a percentage of what the cargo is. And it could be $500 billion, right? Or 500 million, a billion. It could be a huge number. And that insurance, that wartime insurance, can become 5 to 7% of that freight. So if you think about what their margins are, that could eat into all of the profits, if not making them lose money. So that insurance is a big variable here, and the U.S. doesn't set that insurance rate. Actually, from my research, and we have the Strait of Hormuz expert who's going to come on at some time, he was saying that most of that analytics and most of the underwriting and actuaries are actually from German. So it's not the U.S. dictating what these insurance prices are. So when there's a blockade, for sure, it's going to go sky high, and no ships are going through. On top of that, once this is all settled, how long is it going to take for the insurance companies to start trusting that the ships are actually going to get a safe passage? So it gets really interesting with this blockade. On top of that, I think it's going to piss Iran off a lot. I think they're going to declare it an act of war. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if they start becoming more aggressive. Now, they don't have much left, right? If we just look at the graphs that they used to deploy everything they had as far as they've clearly depleted themselves. And on top of that, the technology that it takes to initiate those have also been depleted. So I think we are in for very, very interesting times. While I have you guys, we had an incredible guest come on from 2 days ago. I begged her to come in. It was kind of like a podcast style. It was a 16-year-old girl who got captured by the IRGC while she was protesting. And while she fled from them, they ended up pew-pewing her. And she got hit in the leg. And she tells her story of getting arrested, getting captured, going to jail, what it was like, getting out, what life's like after, what life's like now. It's such an important story. TikTok's probably not the right format for it. I have to figure out how to get it. But for now, I just released part 1 and part 2 purely because it takes me forever to edit. So, you're here. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Iran. Yeah. I'm an Iranian American. I spent 3.5 years in Iran. My grandparents, aunts, cousins, uncles, grandparents. My stepmother, she's all in Iran, and I get updates. So my cousins are able to access the VPN. A VPN is ridiculously expensive, about $36.50 per gigabyte, so a lot of money. However, it's always interesting to me how these people get access through VPNs, because internet is shut down nationwide. So Iran shut down the internet for everyone going outside of the Iranian media. Why? Well, they want to be able to control that narrative. So if you want to go on Iran's news, no problem. You want to go on BBC or anything else, there's a problem. So what people do is they quite literally apply to the government to be a spokesperson for them. Hey, I'm a super big supporter of the government, and so I would like to be able to go on TikTok and tell people how great the Iranian government is. And they say, fine, and they'll unlock your IP so you can go out and express all those places. Chimichai Azizam, Arkozi, Chimichai. چی میخوای من حرف بزنم این پیرن منو دوست داری یکی بخر okay there you go so the internet sorry sometimes people need a fact check so what they'll do is they'll get an unlocked IP so they can go out and do stuff, but the issue is there's a lot of corruption in Iran. There's always been corruption in Iran, but a lot more. And so what people will do is they will take that IP and then they'll essentially use it to create a VPN, and then they'll sell the data. So using that with a long-winded answer, and pardon my tangent, with a long-winded answer, people are able to connect to the internet, and they pay a heavy premium. Internet is so expensive. We talked about it, but what's ironic is because internet's expensive, my aunt or my cousin, they will text me for updates on hey, what's actually going on. Granted, they're able to go on the BBC or whatever, but it takes so much data and so expensive that it's more efficient to just send a message through WhatsApp. Anywho, we have one mom. There you go. Okay, so we talked about the Strait a little. Let's keep going on it. There's an estimate 20 million barrels a day flow through the Strait of Hormuz. That's 20% of the global supply. 20%! Also, people don't talk about this, 20% of the world's natural gas also flows through there. So it's not even that it's important. This is a critical strait. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, UAE, and Qatar are basically at a standstill for their economies. So when this blockade happens, we're probably going to offend Saudi, those countries I just named. But I think that they're going to be in the understanding that, like, hey, IRGC is doing this, and most of them got attacked for no reason by Iran when this first happened, so I don't think they're going to be that mad. But know that there's going to be pressure. The entire Middle East is going to feel that pressure. 80% of that energy goes to Asia. So if basically, when the Strait shut down, the first people who really got hit, Asia. So on average, the traffic is between 100 to 130 ships a day. In the last couple of days, we've been seeing 4, 5, 6 ships, not many. So majority of those cargo ships are actually oil and gas tankers. So think of it almost like a conveyor belt for the Middle East. So that region produces a lot of oil, and that's their distribution method to get out. So I think another thing, Iran clearly has leverage. Why? We briefly talked about it, but I've been trying to save it for the Strait of Hormuz expert when he comes on. It's not hard to make insurance rates go up, which kills the profit. U.S. had talked about potentially doing escorts, but for whatever reason, I have not been able to find a concrete reason as to why. Thank you, MM. So Iran sits on the north side, so they're able to attack it. Hence the importance of that Kharg Island. It's in a prime location for it. So they're claiming that there's mines in the water that they forgot about. Think about how brilliant that is from the Iranian government. As much as I hate them, which I do, they're doing some stuff pretty smart. There very well could be no mine. My favorite story, I'm going to go on a tangent. My favorite high school prank was some senior class, they had brought in 3 pigs. And they named they brought in 2 pigs, named the pigs 1, 2, 3, but there was only 3. I'm doing a horrible job explaining it. They brought 2 pigs, put a number 1 on one, put a number 3 on one, and so everyone thought that there was actually 3 pigs. So when they're running through the school, they're looking for number 2. Number 2 didn't exist. The whole prank was that for the rest of the day, 2 days, people are looking for a pig that doesn't exist. That's kind of the thing that Iran could be doing with these mines. Pardon my poor explaining, right? There very well could be no mines that they lay, but because they said that, now everyone's scared, and they're going to spend how much money, how much time, how many resources going through to potentially clean these sweeps. So they have a good job. I'd call it they're harassing the water. That's what I'd say Iran is doing. Okay, there is a bunch of military there. There's the 5th Fleet is nearby. The IRGC obviously has no problem with their Navy. There was a video that was leaked, a video that was posted today by the IRGC. And it was a call, and it was the most fake call I've ever seen in my entire life. But it was a guy who didn't even really have a good Persian accent, who was saying, we are here from the IRGC of Iran, and we are the Navy, and if you have a ship come through that U.S. warship, then we will attack it. And then there's this clear AI video, like voice, and it's like, we are ship number 123 reporting for duty. Okay, message received. We're going to be turning around. And then it's this IRGC guy going, yes, you better turn around because we are locked and loaded, and we will hit you. Like, that's what the propaganda that is being fed to the Iranian people and to some people who actually believe it. Clearly, that's not the case. Anywho, so We talked about it already. The oil prices spikes depending on where you're at. It got up to 150%. That with this blockade, it's without question going to cause a supply chain shortage for that region, and it's going to cause a global issue as well. And then lastly, could the actual strait be closed? That's a big misconception. I know we kind of talked about it. There is no gate. There is no metal gate. There's no 5 boats blocking it with their hands up saying you do not pass. That's not what it means when the strait's closed. It just means that it's, unstable connection. Sorry, could you guys see me good? Could you just say yes if you could see me? I'm going to keep going though. But it's not necessarily that there's a blockade physically. This is more so that, thank you guys, this is more so that it's so expensive to go courtesy of this insurance. And those tankers are expensive too. That the owners of the tankers are like, I'm not risking it. And the insurance is saying, well, we're going to pay a price. So it gets to the point where no one wants to do it. So this is more of a harassment. I think that's the best word I could find. This is more of a we don't feel safe, not that we can't, right? Like, theoretically speaking, I hate to pick on Chicago, but you can go walk through the sketchiest street of Chicago. There's no blocked road. It's just you won't because it's quote, quote, closed. Does that make sense? I think that's another important thing to kind of get through. Okay, I think I hit most of the things. Last thing, factually speaking, this is the single most important geographical location for oil. So Iran is now supposedly charging tolls. Estimates were $2 million, and supposedly they're getting paid in Bitcoin. Another thing, we should talk about Bitcoin, but Trump just posted today saying that, listen, if any of you guys paid that $2 million, then we have an issue. You're not going to get through the strait by paying bribes to our enemies. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. It was like this long of a message. So I think we're in for a really interesting time. Another huge misconception, I might lose some of you, but bear with me. There's this rumor that Iran was getting Bitcoins for $10,000 worth of energy, $10,000 worth of energy. And that's probably true if you just look at the bill for energy. For those of you who don't know, Bitcoin, this digital asset, has to be mined. One of the big costs of mining a Bitcoin is energy, but it's by no means the only cost. The hardware to get you one is ridiculously expensive. The ROI on them is not fantastic. Albeit energy is a huge input to it, but it's not like, oh, in Iran, Bitcoin is 10 grand. Or it's not like, oh, in Iran, the government paid 10,000 for a Bitcoin. It would more so be like, oh, Iran paid $100 billion for infrastructure, and I don't know the number. They paid $100 billion in infrastructure to have these supercomputers that are capable of solving the algorithm of Bitcoin. And after they paid that money up front, their power usage was only $10,000 to mine a Bitcoin. Does that make sense? So again, another important detail, but supposedly got paid in Bitcoin. Okay. Unclear whether mines were late or not. Exactly, Squish Squash. That I think is what's brilliant to it. And another thing, again, I hate the IRGC, but you have to give credit where credit's due. And in this case, it's sickening and sad. But they have been clever with what they had. First of all, I think everyone thought that these guys would have defected by now. Yet here they are. They found this Strait of Hormuz, which they're calling themselves the N option, the NUC, option. They're saying that's theirs. And they're right, because they basically have the whole world in a vice grip. And that's not going to be a permanent solution, obviously. It's going to come a point where every country in the world, the developed ones, are going to be like, hey, you guys are affecting us, and we're really suffering, you're pissing us off. It's going to come to a point where everyone's like, okay, screw you, Iran. Now, this blockade kind of makes U.S. a little bit of the bad guy, but I don't think this is a permanent solution. So, okay. Unclear whether they laid nines or not. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. Ollie, no. No, you are not. Okay. What else should we talk about? Do the people of IRGC... Oh my gosh, Ollie, fantastic question. Thank you. So, the Shah, Reza Pahlavi, obviously not the king, and for the record, if and when his time comes back, I don't think he's going to be the king. He himself said he doesn't want to be the king. He wants to be the transitionary leader to let the Iranian people decide what government they want. So now they have this disclosure done. About a month or so ago, he called for the immortal guards. And that basically was like activating the quote-unquote sleeper cells of Iran. And they've been coming up more and more and more. And today there was another group, and I should have remembered the name, I don't. There was another group that came up basically posting a message saying, we're here. And so there have been countless videos of these rebels, we'll call them, which rebel makes me think of like unorganized and just, it seems like a derogatory word, but for lack of a better word. People who are now armed from somewhere, and they're driving by, picking apart the Basij and the IRGC. So something's happening. Okay. Amir Ram, request that. Wait, regime change is on the table? I don't think it's U.S. I don't think it's their prerogative. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of Israel's initiatives or one of their wants, and it makes complete sense to me. We haven't talked about this for a couple of days. I am legitimately confused on why this spark of anti-Semitism happened. First of all, the Jewish people are great people, right? Just like the Muslims are great people, and the Catholics are great people, and the Christians are great people. They are not picking and choosing what happens, right? Like, so I think, first of all, the anti-Semitism needs to like definitely take a couple notches down for the people, especially stateside. That all being said, I was in Iran, and this is my favorite story to tell because it's a nice story. I walked up to a restaurant to order some kebab, and when I speak Farsi, I have a little bit of an accent. It's clear that, like, I can talk, and I can talk in a Persian accent, but it's like someone coming and be like, hey, you know, you sound a little different. Where are you from? And I say, I'm from the United States. And this guy, literally, in this particular case, oh my God, his face lit up. Oh my God, thank you. You came here. And he was honored, and he gave me free food and gave me free this. And he gave me, it was beautiful. It was a great experience. He came down, he sat, and he chatted with me, like, what's it like over there, etc. And so I'm sitting down enjoying this free meal. And as I look across, I see this beautiful mosque that had to be old. And it was blue and had all these gorgeous tiles and this fence. It was desolate. There wasn't a lot of people there. But what there was this big billboard. And the billboard wasn't even a screen. It wasn't even like a rotating screen that's like, oh, it was just for a blip up. This was hard pasted up there that said, unalive to America, unalive to Israel. So if you're Israel and your next door neighbor is consistently attempting to develop a WMD, and they're posting on billboards in mosques that we want to unalive you, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to just sit there quietly and wait for it to happen? If you need evidence that if Iran was going to do it or not, look at what they did when they first got attacked. 13 random countries got hit, some of which said, hey, U.S., you can't even use our airspace if you're going to do this. And Iran still attacked. There's no question that they would do it. Zero question. In fact, I was listening to interviews from Times. It's an interesting one where they had Ahmadinejad. This is like 09, 010-ish time. I don't know why he said 09, but 010. It'd be like 09/10. Anywho. And they straight up asked him, like, hey, are you trying to develop ends? He said, we're trying to get power. He said, are you trying to develop ends? And he defected the question again. And then he asked him again. I needed that. Like, this is a simple question. This is a yes or no question. Are you trying to get it? And he said, we're past the point of needing it. Look, Russia had it, and et cetera. It didn't work out for them. We're past the point of needing it. So what I'm getting at is even in 09, they were avoiding the question and trying to dodge it. So it makes complete sense to me why Israel would want a regime change out of this, because they probably want a neighbor who's not consistently threatening their existence. Ahmadinejad, the reason I brought that up, is also an H-cost denier. He said he doesn't think it happened. Like, come on, right? Okay, so is regime change on the table for the Iranian people? 100%. And I think it's going to happen. But I don't think it should be U.S., nor do I think it should be Israel who are the ones who are doing it. Okay, I'm 100 messages behind. Sorry. Didn't happen, wasn't enough. Whoa, God, sick people. Okay, buddy, let's not spam darkness. Santana Yahoo. Okay. Oh my God, we have some not nice people here today. All right, we muted it. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, okay. Thank you, Smiley Face, for being a long-time watcher. Thank you, Rudy. Satan not who pays this guy. You know, everyone says that, and I just haven't collected any yet. Hillary said if she became president, she would invade Iran. Good. She should have. If Palestine was so great, I don't want to talk about Palestine. Why do you want a regime change? Ramo, that's a really good question. The Iranian people are without question oppressed. Back in January, the people were out protesting. Well, actually, let's rewind a little bit. December, UN slapped on a new set of sanctions, and it got to the point where 1.5 million IRR was the equivalent of 1 USD. So if you wanted bread, for example, you're bringing 1.5 million. So basically what happened was the bazaars were not able to repurchase their goods for the same price that they'd be able to sell. In other words, they weren't able to sell those prices at such high. They weren't able to sell the stuff at the prices needed to even resupply. So they just shut down. And why that is such an important thing is because In 1979 was the last time they did that. And that was one of the times where there was a government change. And so the people started protesting. This is the Bazaar people started protesting. And there was an incident that happened in 2022 where a young girl was unalive for her hijab, and it started a movement. They called it Zanzibar, the Women Life Freedom Movement. So that movement, the freedom movement, and the bad energy from, the bad economic situation from the Bazaar kind of merged forces, and they were protesting. 1 million people were protesting. Then Donald Trump sat on a tweet on January 2nd, and it said something along the lines of, if the government, Iranian people, if your government attacks you like they have in the past, we're locked and loaded and we're going to come to rescue. And they went out in record numbers, 3.5 to 5 million people protesting. IRGC, I want you to understand what the IRGC is, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Their primary purpose in life is to make sure that this regime stays in place. They did not like that. So they start using live rounds. So there was a massacre, reports still unknown. I don't think we're ever going to know. Trump is saying 45,000. People in Iran are saying 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. There's an unknown number that's incredibly large of people who got unalived by their own government. So when your government attacks you, your government's supposed to protect you. And when your government is attacking you, then it makes sense, just purely off that example, why you want a regime change. Not even talking about the 47 years of repression that they dealt with before. So that's a long-winded question. I'm due for another history one. Every once in a blue moon, I'll come in and I'll do the entire history of Iran from like 53 is where I typically like to start. And if you hear that story, it'll make sense to you. You worried about the Iranian people? That's another good question, H. This is going to get ugly. I don't think we have a way out where it's not ugly. However, it was ugly before, and it was continuously getting uglier. Like the major last protest that happened prior to this one, there was 550 reported unalives. Now we're how high? So like it's continually getting worse. So I think this needs to happen. The IRGC needs to happen. There's no way that we're going to be talking peace, and there's no diplomatic way that the IRGC was going to step down. So that means that it had to be done with force, and that's ugly. So am I worried about the people of Iran? Absolutely. Like, yeah, my family's there, my aunts, like, yes, I'm absolutely worried about the people of Iran. But at the same time, I'm not mad. Does that make sense? Okay. You were talking rubbish. I thought what I said was pretty logical and fact-driven. Okay, so you have no problem with U.S. and Israel attack. I don't like war, Geeky. But I do like the IRGC being weakened. So am I okay with it? I'm not mad. I don't know how else I can answer that question. I think the spread of conspiracy theories in people that don't know history has an IRGC anti-Semitism. Okay. Is the U.S. covering insurance for the U.S. tankers? I heard that they were, Lonnie. But I've not seen anything go through. Especially now, I don't think anything's going through, but I heard that same thing. I even heard that they were going to escort, but I didn't see anything follow through. Where do I think this is heading? I think that they're going to resume, and I think it's going to get really ugly, and I bet Trump does end up hitting the power grids. I did a little bit more research, and more reports came out, and apparently, the power grids that they had planned were not very heavy civilian usage. So the power grid in Iran is relatively decentralized, and it's a distributed grid, which means that basically if one of the power plants get hit, and I'm generalizing, if one of the power plants get hit, the overall capacity falls down. So it's not like, okay, the northeast part of the city is screwed, or this city is screwed. It's the capacity overall goes down, which is better than the alternative, but still not fantastic. So I bet you long and short that it gets hit. For those of you who don't know, like this is not a conspiracy. Research it. I posted the video of it. Iran themselves came up with an initiative called like the Save Young Human Initiative for Better Future of Iran. And what it was is they were organizing human shields. Quite literally, they were calling for young kids and women to stand hand in hand around the power grid so that if the U.S. attacks, that there's casualties to it. Now, I don't think that they were trying to say like, oh, you guys are going to go unalive yourself for the cause. I think that they were hoping that if the U.S. saw that, they wouldn't do it. But think about that situation. If your government cares about you, then they wouldn't put you in a position where you could potentially have something like that happen to you, right? So the IRGC is not good people, is the TLDR. You sound like a Kurd. I'm not Persian. My uncle's Kurdish, though. Hey, Red. Hello, Lana. Scott. Thank you for watching. He's telling the truth. Please stop supporting the Iranian regime. I really think, we had people come up yesterday. We had a person come up yesterday, and he was so anti-Israel. And I said, okay, so you're anti-Israel. What do you know about the IRGC? Nothing. Okay. See that? Therein there lies the issue. Therein lies the issue. If you don't understand how bad the IRGC is, then it makes sense if, for whatever reason, you're like, okay, I'm going to support them. If you're ignorant to not knowing what they do to their people, then fine. But you now have an opportunity. I am opening the door. Go research what the IRGC does. And the reason you don't hear thousands and thousands and thousands of daily reports and daily posts is because the first thing that the government does whenever stuff hits the fan is they turn off the internet to the people. With the internet being off to the people, videos now can't go through. People can't go updates. People from you inside Iran cannot come up here and tell you what's actually happening. You hear the propaganda people do. So they turn off the bloodline and they start their own propaganda videos that are overwhelming. And then people actually believe it. We went through one of the days we went through and did a speech of what Pezeshkian, the Iranian president, made a letter to the American people. And ironically, he had a bunch of typos. But basically, this is the takeaway from it. He said that the Iranian government needs to be different. Iranians have consistently drawn a clear distinction between the governments and people they govern. In other words, he's even admitting the Iranian people are not the government. But I think the big takeaway, I had it written down here. This is it. And just bear with me 1 second. It's a sentence. When war inflicts irreparable harm on lives, homes, cities, and futures, people will not remain indifferent toward those responsible. In other words, when war happens, people are not going to forget who started the war. What's not funny, but what's ironic, is that the war to the Iranians did not start on February 28th when U.S. and Israel attacked. The war started back in January when the government attacked their own people. I cannot stress that enough. People are going to come up here and be like, the IDF is a T group. They suck. They're horrible. They're horrible. Okay, let me just ask you one question. How many unalives did the IDF do to their own citizens who were protesting inside the country? Whatever that number was, if any, was a fraction of what the IRGC did to their own. And on top of that, the IRGC is literally deemed a T group. So how could you hate Israel so much that you're literally going to support a documented T group? It's just mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Can the people overthrow the IRGC? Sergio, that's a really good question. They're going to, but I don't think it's going to be easy. The real takeaway here, and this happened in 53 and 79, is we need the national military, the Artish. So in Iran, you have a mandatory military where you have to serve 2 years there if you're a man over 18. And then you also have the IRGC, which is the military for the Islamic regime. So you have the national military who's not doing anything during these times, very little. And then you have the IRGC who's really doing everything. They even have their own navy. So what has happened in both of those times is the IRGC has either declared neutrality or declared support. And when you're national military, think if the Army, Marines, etc., say, you know what, we're now going behind Alex. Then all of a sudden, I'm now the one in charge, right? Because the power comes from the military. So, Sergio, to answer your question with a long-winded answer, the Iranian people are going to overthrow. We do need the help of the Artish, my opinion. Then I think it's going to lead to a bit of a civil war, though. And I don't like that. I just don't see how it's going to happen. And the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because these IRGC people, now that I say it, it makes complete sense, but my hopium from February 28th blindsided me. The IRGC is there because they want to be there. They're not there because they need to be. In fact, we researched together. The starting salary of an IRGC person was $739 a year. Not a month, a year. They're not there because they want to be there. They're not there because they need to for the money. They're there because they want to be there. And when you have people who are able to dedicate their lives to a religion, then it becomes hard to unbrainwash them, right? I mean, think of. I'm not trying to belittle anyone. Think of even Christians. Think of a super, super duper religious Christian. If you came with every bit of evidence saying that Jesus isn't real, they're not going to believe it, right? Which is fine. They shouldn't. Faith is important. But unfortunately, the same is true with the IRGC people, that they're brainwashed. And so when Khamenei got taken out, he was like their leader. He was like the Messiah to them. And I'm paraphrasing it, right? But he was their religious leader. Maybe better, it wouldn't be the Messiah. He's like the Pope, right? So those people are, without question, many of them are going to go down with the sword. I don't think they're going to defect. Some will, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them do. And so I think it's going to lead to a civil war. Sergio, I'm sorry that it took me 8 minutes to answer your question, but I hope that helped. I believe that there's 1 million of them who followed him, right? Imperfect, it's probably a little higher if I'm being honest. There's about 150 to 200,000 IRGC people. There was. Reports of Basij, the volunteer IRGC people who originate in local mosques and they'll originate in universities and whatnot, that number's higher, but they're not as dedicated. The big statistic is from November of 2025, Iranian International did a poll, and it had 92% of the people did not support the government. So let's just assume it's 8%. Oh, granted, that's before the massacre, but for math's sake, let's just say it's still 8%. 8% of 92 million people is 7 million-ish, 7.2. So it's probably more than 1 million people who support the current government. And if you think about it, the current government is so corrupt, those people are ridiculously wealthy. Thank you so much, Red. That'll really help that girl. I appreciate it. I believe that there are 1 million who followed. Dude, I am with you. I am here in the Middle East living this right now. Thank you. Keep preaching. Thank you. I hope you stay safe. The IRGC exists to prevent Iran. Darn it. That was a good question. Could you retype it or could you paste it? I lost it. Hey, Darlene. Thank you. The IRGC exists to prevent Iran from another coup, like the U.S. did in 53. You're absolutely right, Diggy. You're 100% right. The IRGC came out. They actually call it. They don't call it was made or created. They said it was architected. Purely to prevent another coup. You're totally right. You're absolutely right. Regime change will only come from a full-blown war, though. Nico, I think the regime change needs to come from the people. But I think with this blockade, I think the chances of a full-blown war got much higher. Because I'm fairly certain that Iran is going to view this as an active war. And I think, not that they haven't been trying already, but I could see them really doing, gosh darn it, we were here again, and I can't, grand finale, thank you. You know, like fireworks, the last minute is the best. I think Iran's stuff is deployed, depleted. Oh my goodness. It's not even 12 yet. I think Iran's inventory is depleted. And so I wouldn't be shocked if they try to go out with a big bang. But I think it's going to end up turning into a full-blown war. And I think that those IRGC people are just going to wreak havoc. I think they're going to cause headaches. Hey, Pamela, y'all know that respect doesn't require agreement, right? No need for name calling. Pamela, I have thick, brown-ish, I'm not really that dark. Compared to black shirt, dark. Compared to paper, pretty white. Other way around. You know what I meant. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. You're so sweet. Lori, thanks for watching the whole time. Christian, you're full of it. Christian, you spelled your name wrong. It's supposed to be with a C, not with a K. We Iranians support Trump. From Nada. Did something big happen? What did I miss? Jules, the big thing today was that Trump said we're going to make a blockade. He was saying, okay, you guys want to get cute with the Strait? Then nothing's going in and nothing's going out. And so that makes it very interesting because now Iran is, without question, along with the other Arab nations, are going to get really heavily impacted from a supply chain. Here's what I was thinking, and I have to give credit to my father when we were talking. He said, you know what I would have done? Let Iran send those oil tankers out, but then intercept them, and then force them to take the oil to one of our allies. What's Iran going to do about it? And I was like, actually, aside from the U.S. then being literally a pirate, it would piss Iran off. They would lose tankers, and it would benefit our allies. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard. I don't know the logistics of it. It will turn into a proxy war between U.S., China, Russia, and Iranian soil. Okay, Ben, but here's the thing. How, without Iran getting oil, where's China going to get it from? Russia, right? I don't think China, I think China realizes this. Hear me out. If and when the U.S. wins this, and if and when a regime change happens, China's still going to get a lot of oil from that strait. And so it makes sense to me that China would not want to make an enemy out of this in the case for when Iran is no longer ran by the IRGC, that the new person, whoever runs it, is going to want to play nice with China. If China is just continuously feeding proxies, then it makes sense to me that the new government's going to be like, hey, you were making our lives harder, you weren't nice to us, you're not my friend anymore, I'm not giving you oil. So I think tactfully, and I did a poor job explaining that, but I think tactfully it makes sense for China to not, I think they're just, the best thing for them is to lay low, buy the oil from Russia and curse under their breath. I don't think them funding proxies is a good idea. Russia, I don't think cares. So that's my thought. Christian, please share with the class what you know about Iran. Amaka, thanks for watching. What can be done? Isaiah, I think we're going to be in for an interesting next couple of weeks. I told everyone before, I don't think the ceasefire is going to last. I'm still committed that I really don't think the ceasefire is going to last. So what can be done? I hate to say it, but I feel like all fingers are pointing to the boots on the ground. At least they have to get the Strait back in some place. So they blockade it. Let's think about this for a second. They blockade it. That means nothing can come in, nothing can go out. They can then theoretically do a mine sweep pass. Then they can say, okay, it's open. Then they really only have to worry about small little mini boats, which they can take care of, right? The IRGC has these little fast boats that they can go up and cause headaches. They could worry about that. And then they have to worry about stuff from the air coming, which I think U.S. could worry about too. So logically speaking, from my eyes, and I'm not a wartime expert, if there's nothing underneath you, and you can prevent stuff on the surface level, you only have to watch out for the air, and U.S. supposedly has complete air dominance, so it shouldn't be an issue to keep the Strait open. Does that make sense? Why use Americans instead of Israelis who've been wanting this war so bad? I mean, that's a fair question. That's a very fair question. Why is the U.S. taking the lead? Well, they were the most powerful. Israel wants it for sure. I think Israel wants regime change. We talked about that. But it's not like getting the IRGC out is not, look, they are a problem child of the Mideast, right? Think of how much headaches they caused. Who funded all of those T groups? Iran. So getting rid of it, I describe them like a wart. For those of you who had warts, like you have a mother wart, you have the main one, and then you have a bunch of babies. And you can take care of the babies, but if the mother's still there, you're going to get, that's a very violent graphic image, I'm sorry. But long and short, if you don't take out the root of the issue, then you're just going to have new little things appear, right? So if you want to take out one of the H groups, well, then they're going to make a H3, or H4. Maybe they want to change letters. So you need to get rid of the problem child, which is Iran. So I don't think it's a net nothing for U.S. to get rid of Iran. Eradicate them. I like that word. Obama gave Iran billions. Obama, I think he kicked the can. I don't think what Obama did was horrible. I don't think what he did was great. I think it was pretty neutral. And I say that in the sense that clearly the intelligence said that we could let this ride for 4 more years, right? For 4 years, let's play nice with them. We'll be able to monitor the stuff to make sure it's not getting dangerous, and I can then take Iran off of my plate. So I think that Obama had a list, wanted Iran off of his list. What he did made it pretty safe that Iran was not going to be a problem for him in those 8 years he was there. Right, and Iran, if we're giving him credit, did follow the rules and restrictions they were supposed to during that agreement. But I do not think that was the end-all be-all. I think that was just a kick the can. So I would call it a neutral play. If I was rating it, I would give it a neutral rating. And the money he gave them was their own. And the other big thing to consider is Iran's GDP is huge. It's like $1 trillion. So when we're talking about $1.7 billion in cash, that's nothing, right? It's a fraction of their GDP. We're talking about a country, not a person, right? Hey, Rosie, you are not Persian, imposter. 2, if you are Persian, come up and talk to me. قیافشت مثل شکل جنده هست. چرا موتو ریخته؟ چشتن خیلی زشته. دماغتو برو دوباره عمل کن. ابروتم بکن. I said many nice things about you. It had nothing to do with your profile picture or what you look like, because I wouldn't do that. I'm not shallow. If you're Iranian, just give me a thumbs up. Caitlin, he terrifies us. Do you think the USA is winning? Misha, love. I think the USA is doing, overall, yeah, like clearly militarily, they're winning without question. I think the only thing Iran has, aside from their pure will to not give up, is they have that strait. I think that strait's the wild card, and I think that this blockade is now taking away that wild card. So yes, I think Israel and U.S. are winning, for sure. No, or the strait would be open. No, I think there's more nuances to it, right? I'm not saying they won. I said they're winning. We're winning. Iran don't what to think about history of Shah and IRGC. I'm sorry, Maui, I'm having a hard time understanding that. Spain doesn't seem worried about the strait. Do they get oil from somewhere else? I don't know, Lonnie. That's a really good question. IRGC has been completely obliterated to be overthrown. MHUD, I agree with you, but they're still there surviving. They're very fragmented. They don't have, the country of Iran does not have a leader. Let's think about that for a second. There is so much finger pointing going on. There are so many reports daily. I see 10 of them, maybe 5, 10's a lot, of the president of Iran getting in arguments with the head of IRGC, who's getting mad at the mayor of Tehran, who's getting mad at, like, there's so many things. What's happened, without question, what's happened in Iran there's now a huge division. There's half of the country, and I don't know what numbers, I don't know what percentage. And when I say country, we're talking about the government. Half of the government is like, we are never going to sit with the U.S. They took out our leader. We are not going to shake hands with the enemy, period. Then there's another half that's more reasonable. And they're like, guys, what's our end game here? Like, this might be our only chance to survive. Let's talk. So this group is saying, you guys are traitors. And this group is saying, like, you guys are idiots. We want to live. And they're like, no, you don't. And if I had puppets, it would be better. But that's kind of the gist of it. So who's leading it is another question. Are you a Reza Pahlavi supporter? Albert, I am. And I'll tell you why. Do I think Pahlavi is the best person in all of the 93 million people of Iran? No. But I realize that if Iran wants to have a regime change, the Iranian people want to have a regime change, they have to unify. Who's the most popular? Shah. What names do you hear at the streets at night, people calling? The Shah. So in other words, I think we have to view it as, do we want a change in government? If yes, then it makes sense for everyone to support, everyone to unite, and it looks like Pahlavi's the guy. And I think he has a reasonable plan in place. How many people in Iran is keeping U.S. from peace? Kleb, probably less than 8%. If I was to take a guess, I'd say 5%. The reason I didn't just pull that from my rear, the big statistic from Iranian International was 92% of the people did not support the government, and that was in 2025 before the massacre. So 8% did prior to that, and I'm sure there was a lot of accidents that had happened. So I think I answered your question. And your ignorance of how, that was going to be a good comment too. Shah's U.S. puppet, bro. That's fine. Listen. A U.S. puppet is far back. First of all, I don't think he is. But even if he is, let's say he is, isn't it better to have a U.S. puppet than have a T group? Right? Okay, but someone said a good comment. You are so attractive. Katie, do you see that? You should appreciate me, love. I'm just kidding. She appreciates me. Is half of Iran government in half? Wait, is half the Iran government and half the IRGC? No, I mean, the government's the thing. The IRGC is, they think of them as like a military for the government. J-Dub, request up and talk. Okay, IRGC propagandist. Oh my God. Lifetime member of IRGC. Holy shit. All right. Well, let's see.
Yeah, so why are you calling the...
Are you from Iran?
Yes, but why are you calling the IRGC?
Can you talk Persian?
No, we can talk English here so your people
No.
And you're spreading misinformation.
Hold on.
You're spreading misinformation.
Do not lie. Member of IRGC.
Do not lie to the people that are on your panel.
Okay. Lifetime member of the IRGC and doesn't speak Persian. Is it worth having a discussion? I don't think so. I'm not here for a drama show. Although if I did, that would be a fantastic guest. Come on. That's funny. That's funny. Literally, that's funny. His name is IRG propagandist. His description is IRGC life member, something like that. And you don't speak the language. I'm going to teach you your first word. First, I'll teach you two. The first one will be hi. And you can just say salam. Dorud. Let's just stick with salam. It's easy. And then I'm going to teach you another one. I'll teach you bye too. And you say bye by saying kir. And if you want to say goodbye, have a good day, you'd say kiram tu dahanet. There you go. Now you know some good Persian. If I have any Persian people in the chat, please give me a thumbs up. He chose not to. Yeah. He sounds very American, but not a smart one. How do you know he doesn't speak the language? I asked him. If you do speak the language, you're more than welcome to come up. Here's the thing. I just taught him something. So now he can come up and he can be like, salam, kiram tu dahanet. Right? Now I'd be like, damn, you win. He's, oh, well, was that Rick? No, Timmy, it wasn't Rick. Apparently I'm Jewish. Wow, not even a listen. No, I will not listen to someone who is literally, their name is IRGC propagandist and doesn't. It might have been funny, yeah, but I don't want to give someone a platform who's a propaganda machine. His name's Propaganda Machine. So it's okay. Sorry, MM. Okay, so he's back. All right, here's the thing. You know what? I am very democratic. Let's do this, especially since I know. Should we talk to him? Let me figure out how to make a poll. I figured out how to do a poll before. Okay, let's do this. Let's make this interactive for you guys. Give me this face if we should talk to him. Give me a sad face if we should move on. You guys pick. One sec. I know Darlene said sad face. 5 of you guys voted? Wow. Holy cow. Oh my God. 17 to 14, 18 to 15, 19. This face. Sorry, I have a hair in my mouth. Let me go off camera. So give me that smiley face. Oh my gosh. Keep voting. I don't want to talk to him. Hurry up. Give me the crying face if I should not talk to this guy. Give me the smiley face if I should. This face means I should. Okay, it looks like I'm talking to him. Darlene, I hope you voted. Okay. I guess I'm talking to him. All right, but listen, if he starts yelling and going crazy, I reserve the right to drop him. We have 8 seconds left. No one wants to add? It's crying face and we don't have to talk to him. Smiley face, then I will. And I have to respect the votes. Okay. IRGC propagandist who doesn't speak Persian, but is an IRGC member for life. Apparently.
Yeah. So why are you spreading misinformation up here about the Iranian regime? They are not.
No, hold on. Let's talk normal, and we can talk nice. So tell me which part, and we'll go through it.
So they're not a T group. First off, they're not the ones bombing residential areas.
TikTok friendly language, otherwise they'll make me kick you.
Yeah. So they're not dropping B's or M's on residential areas like the IDF is on a daily basis. The IDF is still doing it on a daily basis. Total disregard for the ceasefire that is supposed to be in place.
IRGC, we can go through each of these points, but let's break down the first one. You said they're not a T group.
They're not a T group.
They are, and as of 2019, the U.S. Department of State put them in the foreign T group list, the FTO. So that happened in 2019.
What other countries designate the IRGC as a T group?
I think the UN as a whole did.
What's to look for?
I'm verifying because I don't want to. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt and look this stuff up. So I have to pull up this stuff. But U.S. did for sure. So who did? I'd have to.
Okay, so one country and until
the U.S. You're from the U.S., right?
Huh?
You're from the U.S.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay, so our country. You said you didn't want to talk Persian because you were on.
So let's move on.
Okay, moving on. So clearly they were defined according to the U.S. They were defined.
Okay, so one country. There's more than one country on the globe.
The U.S.
So you're talking about a country that unilaterally, I would say over 50% of Americans hate Persians and they hate Muslims. So I don't think that's a fair justification to say a country that is known to hate these people.
Okay, so IRGC, I think point one was you said they're not a T group. The U.S. said they were. Let's go to point two.
One country defined.
Our country did. So let's go to point two.
So
we have a lot to cover. You brought up a lot of.
Okay. So if I may respond to that one point, and then we'll move on. I can then say the Iranians classify the IDF as a T group, and we're equal. So you didn't really eat on that, but let's move on to the second point. Let's talk about how the IRGC has not actively, purposely attacked any residential areas like the IDF and the U.S. have done on a daily basis, are still continuously doing on a daily basis.
Okay, let's
With
talk.
total disregard for life.
Let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about it. So, what aside from one incident of the school, what else did they hit?
They've also attacked. Yeah, so they attacked a bridge that was not even fully built. They didn't attack it once.
How many other people were unalive?
I don't have the rough numbers. I'm sure I could find them if you really wanted them. But the point is, they did not only attack it once, they went and attacked it a second time. They attacked it a second time.
Nope, I'm agreeing with you. So, okay.
But you're okay with that. You're okay with that.
Well, we're talking. So, hold on. Let's be civil here. Lower your blood pressure. Let's have a real conversation. So, okay, I'm not challenging you. Both of what you said is true. But I would challenge you that did Iran not throw a drone at the 7-star hotel in Dubai?
So, do you know why they did that?
Please enlighten me.
So the reason they threw that drone at the 7-star hotel was because the U.S. has been hiding their highest-ranking military officials in these buildings who were supposed to be actively negotiating with the Iranians.
So they hit U.S. that was in there, but is that not a civilian? Would you not call a 7-star hotel a civilian area?
It was not an intentional attack on civilians. It was an attack where there was military members located. They had the intel for it, which is why they did it. That is no different than when the U.S. and Israel decided to bomb or boom the compound of the supreme leader with total disregard for anybody's family.
No, the
children.
Chris Khamenei lost his daughter. He lost his wife. He lost his father. We're talking about the new one. So, okay, fair. What happens if the intel was off and wasn't accurate?
For who? For the Iranians?
So Iran, without question, we're agreeing. See, we're making progress. We're agreeing that Iran hit that 7-star hotel. What happens if the intel was off and there was no U.S. in there?
Well, see, now we're playing a what-if game.
No, we're not, because I didn't see any reports of what you're saying.
Well, I didn't see any reports that the intel was wrong. Did you? So their intel must have been spot on because you didn't hear the U.S.
Well, no. And the reason I say that is, if there was American casualties, then presumably the media would make it known. If that's, have you been to Iran IRGC?
I've been one time. It was like 10 years ago.
And did you have a good time? I hope you did. The people are great.
Yeah, it was a very good place. The food was good.
What was your favorite food?
I mean, everything was new to me.
Well, you had a favorite dish. What was your favorite dish? If you can go back, what are you eating first?
I have no idea. It's been too long. I'd have to go back again.
Okay, the food's great. Okay, so you went there and the people were good. Did the people seem happy with the government there?
I mean, it wasn't. I didn't really get into any. So I'm 28, so I was only 18 at the time. So I wasn't really actively asking people what they thought of the regime that's in power, or
Well, not a normal thing to ask, right? Especially if you're a foreigner traveling there, that would probably be inappropriate. When would it come up? So that makes sense. How long did you get to stay?
I was there for a week.
A week. And what part did you get to go to?
Tehran.
It's a beautiful place, right?
Yes.
Not what people thought. It's mountainous and whatnot. Not much desert around there, right?
You said what?
Not desert around Tehran.
No, it's a city.
Yeah, mountainous city. So you went there and you don't remember seeing people. Do you remember having to follow rules that you probably didn't have to follow in the United States?
I mean, I took it as their way of life. I didn't.
Well, I'm asking you. Did you, like, you as an American? Did you what time of year did you go? Did you go to summer or winter? Or?
It was summer.
Summer. So were there any rules that you're like, this is weird?
I mean, I thought what the woman had to wear was weird, but I mean, it was kind of. I went with a buddy and my parents, so like, I was with them most of the time, so it wasn't. I guess to me, it's just like their way of life. Like, I had a buddy that went to North Korea a couple years ago when they allowed people to go there and actually see what North Korea was like in Pyongyang. Like, I guess I look at it from the view of these countries that are controlled by regimes as having their way of life. So I just, it is what it is.
Okay,
I mean, these people choose to live there.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that it's just the rules of the land and you just follow the rules of the land.
Correct.
And so you just assumed, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're just saying, like, this is what normal is for them, so this is what normal's like. And you just didn't think about it. You moved on.
Correct.
what was your favorite? What's your favorite thing? If you can go back, what's the first thing you can go back and do?
What would be the one thing I'd go back and do?
Yeah, you had to have what was your favorite memory there
I mean, probably riding donkeys.
in Tehran?
Yes. Well,
Really?
and the deserts.
Oh, the desert right by Tehran.
Correct.
Yeah, there's no desert right by Tehran.
Yes, there is. Don't lie.
There literally is not.
Okay, so
You-
so let's get back on point because
Yeah,
you're getting
right.
cooked.
No, I'm just having fun. No, I'm just having fun.
You're
because I
getting-
lived there for
you're
3.5
getting
years,
cooked
but no, it's fine.
because
But
you-
anyway, okay. So continue your point.
Yeah, so you're getting cooked by the fact that you support a T group, and the Iranians. I know you're from
Wait,
Iran.
the Iranian people are T groups because I support the people of Iran.
No,
you should.
no.
You were there.
No, because
Basically
you don't
live there.
because and what's
And
absolutely
ate the food.
disgusting is that you have family that still lives there.
A
You're
lot of
sitting on TikTok.
I am.
And you're
Fact.
trying to paint the IRGC and the regime to be these bad people. And you know they have a very sophisticated team that can actually track people down.
That's true.
And so you're risking your family's lives by doing this type of stuff on TikTok. And
Is
to
this
be,
a
and to
fear
be
tactic?
quite honest with you, if the IRGC went and picked up your family members tomorrow, I wouldn't feel bad one second at all. Because you're being
That's
selfish.
a really nice thing to say.
You're being selfish.
Especially you listen. You probably walked by them when you were there in Tehran, next to the donkey in the desert.
But
You
you're
probably
being,
waved to them
selfish right now by wanting to portray
by
this
wanting
hatred.
people
You're
to share what hatred. Buddy, there's no hatred.
there
People of Iran
is,
are
and
without
they're not
personal
losing the war. They literally
You're right.
control the Strait of Hormuz.
So
which-
can I tell you a real thing of what happened when I was actually in Tehran, and like this is hand to God what happened. I had multiple interactions with the IRGC. However, and it wasn't you. I don't think it was during that 1 week. I literally, as a grown man, I'm a grown man.
obviously,
believe it or
but go ahead.
I felt uncomfortable walking a quarter mile from my grandparents' house to my aunt's house. Not because of the people. It's because I, for whatever reason, could have been targeted. And then they could have said, hey, you're a spy, or you're this, or you're that. Or they look at my phone and they look through my pictures and see that, hey, this guy had a picture of a beer because he's American and he drank beer. And then my life would have been dramatically different. That's not a normal thing for people to have to walk through with legit fear for their life on a daily basis. In IRGC propaganda, if you actually went to Iran,
So,
and you
so
didn't
if
do
you
all that,
if
then
you
you got
follow
money.
the rules of the country, you're not going to have a problem.
But do you think that country should be able to? What percentage of the people do you think like those rules?
I think it's higher than the 8% that you like to portray. I think
That's a date. Okay, then you give me your number based on what
I
you
would
saw.
say probably 70% of the country wants the regime out. I would say it's a 70-30 split. I wouldn't say it's
Fine,
90.
70, I'm taking your numbers. It's fine. So, do you think it's fair that 30% of the people, based on your numbers, 30% of the people should be able to set rules that the other 70% have to follow? Does that seem fair to you?
Do I think it's fair? I mean, life isn't fair, is it?
No. Do you think that's fair?
Life is not fair. You don't always
Listen,
get
you're
a
not-
pick and
you're
choose.
avoiding the question. I understand.
I'm
but
not
asking,
avoiding the question.
do you think that situation is fair, where 30% of the people get to decide rules that the other 70% don't like?
That's everywhere, man. That's like here in America.
I'm
When
asking you
listen, I'm
just
trying to
about
answer your
Iran.
question. I'm trying to answer.
Then
I really
it's a yes or no question.
I'm trying to. Can I respond to you? And it's a 2-point response. That's like any election here in the U.S. where you could have 70% of people vote in a congressional district that vote for one candidate and 30% don't.
That's candidate votes, not rules of the lone vote.
But
And
they-
this is your
but they
final warning.
said-
Give me
but
a
it-
yes or no question. Is that fair? Do you think
Yes,
it's right?
I think it's fair. If that's what has to happen, yeah.
I noticed myself starting to get higher blood pressure, and I promised myself that I wouldn't. And so, I'm going to take my aggression out tomorrow on some poor white belt who is just going to happen to come to my class and going to happen to accidentally bump my shoulder. And I'm just going to ruin him. And I'm joking. I'm not really mad. I don't even have high blood pressure. In white belt, if you want to join my class, come join. I won't hurt you. I swear. Anywho, that guy clearly was not from Iran. He's not set foot in Iran. There are no donkeys in Tehran. Promise you. Maybe like donkeys up in a mountain at someone's house. The guy didn't go, you don't know what your favorite food is in Iran? All the food's good? Come on. And if... All right, you guys made me do that. I don't want to talk to this guy. Rosie, I didn't even bother asking about the protesters because that would have probably been hard for me to contain myself. He's going to go off of IRGC data that there's 3,000 unalives and they were all T's, and that's that. So he hates Trump more than anything. Sorry, I voted for a chat now. Sorry, it's okay, you sir. Senior lady, don't worry. Over 30 countries have designated IRGC as the T group. Geez, there's a lot, right? Pro-IRGC and anti-IRGC people are very different, yes. You were about to get cooked. The only thing I cook is tahdig, which, by the way, the merch gets donated to that girl who has been in Iran, lived in Iran. And I think the commission is like $1.13 on a $10 shirt. So if anyone wants a shirt that says peace, love, and tahdig, know that the money goes to there. I don't take anything. IG is 28. His prefrontal cortex is still finding, not fully developed. Red, I think that stops at 25, doesn't it?
27.
But I like how you're trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. Blood pressure seems to always rise when dealing with complete stupidity. Jack of all trades. You should add a new trade to your list, which is common sense, because you're absolutely right. I hand to God, I really went in there and I tried my best to be calm because I'm like, listen, this is not something that, like, the IRGC is not good, period. There's not any good traits about them. And so if you think that there are, then you just don't understand what's going on, right? And so I really went in there with good intention of, like, you know what? I am going to have this guy understand the story. The issue is some people aren't capable of learning. Their brains are shut. I don't know if this is a bad time, but could you explain who the Kurdish are? Yeah, Lonnie, the Kurdish they're a group of people. I'd call it like an ethnicity. And they're in multiple different countries. One of the countries that they're in is Iran. There's quite a few of them. I talked to my uncle. He's Kurdish, so he's from an area of Iran that is predominantly Kurdish. It's called Kermanshah. They speak a different language, but in school they're forced to speak Persian. And so, because the Kurds are neighbors with those countries, and there's a lot of overlap between them, they kind of view themselves almost as a group. So you could have Kurds in Afghanistan, you could have Kurds in Iraq, you could have Kurds in Turkey, you have Kurds in Iran. And at the end of the day, they're Kurdish, but they're Kurdish in different areas. My uncle, for example, if someone said, "What are you?" even though آقا چی میخوای من بگم؟ چند نفر امروز گفتن فارسی حرف بزن؟ چی میخوای بگم؟ آرثر کیو بیا برای شما فارسی حرف میزنم. خوابم میاد. اون خارکسته قبلی است که من اومده یه سرم گیر شد. سرم درد میکنه چون خیلی عقب افتاده. Does that make sense? I give you like a paragraph. Persia is a Western name, yeah. But anyway, I don't remember where we went. Someone pinned a comment. Jules, thanks for watching my live. Anyway, the Kurds. We're talking about the Kurds. So the Kurds, multiple countries, TLDR, a group of people span across multiple countries. My uncle, because of the racism in the U.S., if someone said, "Hey, what are you?" he'd say, "I'm Persian." He's not. He's Kurdish. But he'd say he's Persian because people associate that with an area, and they typically leave him alone. So I hope I answered your question. They're typically armed, or I can't say typically. They are better armed just because of that community that they have with themselves, and they have been known to take out some T groups independently. Like the is group, a lot of credit goes to them for eliminating it. Arthur, why are so many people asking me to speak Farsi? Okay. Iran is Farsi, mate. Farsi's a language. Iran's a country. And I'd rather call it Persian anyway. You can literally find a desert in most countries if you drive 3-4 hours. Exactly. Thank you, Jules. Appreciate it. Koskish. Amen, Red. Persia is a Western name. Author Q. You're absolutely right. It is. It is. You're totally right. The Shah actually, people don't necessarily realize this. The Shah, I don't remember the year. I want to say it was in the 50s. Changed the name from Persia to Iran because it was Iran historically. Persia was not just a Western, that the Greeks gave Persian the name. And he's like, we refer to it as Iran within ourselves. Could we just please be called Iran? Okay. Hey, Kyle. Thank you for being in the club for a month. Thank you for the follows. Did you hear any more about the Artish group who surrendered? Senior lady, I didn't hear about the Artish group. I'd be surprised to hear a lot of Artish people surrendering. I should look into that. I wouldn't be surprised to hear IRGC. I did hear a lot of groups of IRGC and Basijis, the volunteers abandoning their posts. And I also heard reports of a post that was abandoned and then people went in there and took out the supplies of the post. Thank you, MM. 30-70 isn't fair. 70% matters way more. Cassie, you're absolutely right. That was exactly what my point was going to be. And when we were unable to get to the point of majority should win, then there's no more point in talking. I don't know if it's, okay. You're still calm. Thanks, darling. Okay, I think we're good. Shah of the late 40s in Sabak. Yes, that's the Shah of the late 40s in Sabak is a thing. Iranian deprives from Aryan. Aryan means race. Aryan race. It's ASSYRAN. That's the Aryan. Is it not, Nora? Because I think the Aryan you're talking about could be different. Iranians here are celebrating. It should be. I think it's going to be a free country relatively soon. If you zoom out, it's going to be soon. First time here. Hey, Andrea, welcome. Iran or Iraq? What are we talking about? Oh my gosh. Let's answer this question because this is a really good question. How do I pin this? There we go. Is Iran the same ethnic with Arabian? No. Different name, different language, different. There's more alphabet letters and the culture is very different. Even the division of Islam, most of them are Sunni versus Shia. So overall, it's different. But good question. I'm glad you asked. Okay, my friends, it's 12:04. We had a good run today. IRGC propaganda hit different. Another thing, and I keep bringing this up because I think it's important, and I'm just trying to break a stereotype. I'm sure I have some Iranians in the chat today, and they could vouch. I don't want to speak on behalf of Arab nations because that would be ignorant of me. But what I will speak on is contrary to beliefs. In a true Iranian household, the woman is the boss. The man goes to work, gets the money. The woman is the boss. She spends the money. She slaps the husband around. She is the ruler of the house. So the reason I bring that up is there's so much, there's so many misconceptions that Iran is such an oppressive thing. Listen, the Iranian people's husbands are not oppressive to their wives. Their wives are oppressive to their husbands. So I think that's important for people to know. If you want to know, okay. Hey, Silvana, because you're misspelling the word, you keep getting flagged and blocked. It's not me, it's TikTok, FYI. True. There you go, Siv. All right, Penny, thanks for coming on. All right, my friends. One last thing. I need to call out, and please, I'm asking you. There was a girl who came on 2 days ago. She literally was a 16-year-old who went out in the middle of the night and protested during the Masa Amini protests. And she has an incredible story. It takes me forever to edit this stuff, but it is the most beautiful story you've ever heard. It's long. Think about podcast style, so maybe put it on when you're driving, listening to part 1, listen to part 2. It is an incredible story. And it just gets better as the time goes on because the stuff that's happened to this girl is like, they can make a movie about it. And then the fact that there were 500,000 people who had similar stories to her just makes it absolutely unfathomable. There were multiple times where I think the whole audience who had the opportunity to listen to this girl talk live were tearing up. It was tear-jerking, emotional. You have to just listen to that story. It's on my page, part 1 and part 2. I think because so many people have messaged me, I think I'm just going to post the raw full format video on YouTube or something. So message me if you want the link. But it's not going to be edited. It'll take me, I don't know, way too long to edit that thing. I'm not good at editing. But please listen to her story. It's so important. As always, you guys have been fantastic. I was so mad listening to that other guy thinking about her. So disrespectful, for sure. Thank you guys for everything. We had a great live. Today is I'll be on tomorrow. I will not be on Tuesday. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you, guys. And thank you for the fan club. 70 line. Thank you guys for the follows. 25,500 likes. You guys are getting a carpal tunnel, but I appreciate it. Someone said it helps with the distribution. So thank you, guys. Good night and see you all. Have a great night.
Watch your back, Royal.